Yep. I think you want to do that.
Good morning. I'm going to call to order the public meeting for April 10th, 2018. To my left is John Christopherson, the Deputy County Attorney. To my far right is Jolene Sanchez, the Assistant Clerk to the Board. Ms. Sanchez, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jackson?
Here.
Commissioner Holland?
Here.
Commissioner Sharp?
Here.
Commissioner Conti?
Good morning.
Good morning. Commissioner Baker?
Here. Commissioner Holland, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Christopherson, are there any modifications to the agenda this morning?
There are no modifications today.
I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Sharp. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. This is the time that we open up for citizen comment for any issue or concern that's not currently on the agenda to be discussed today. So if there are any citizens that are here to speak to the Board of County Commissioners about any other matter, excluding those matters that are currently on the agenda, please make yourself known. Seeing none, public comment period is closed. We have one set of minutes to approve. These are from March 20th, 2018. We did have a full board. Is there any discussion or questions concerning those minutes?
I'll move approval. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Sharp, seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor of approving the minutes from March 20th? Is it March 20th? Then please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussion about anything that appears on the consent agenda? I would entertain a motion. Move to approve by Commissioner Jackson.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Conti. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any abstentions or objections? Seeing none, that motion carries as well. We have two items for public under general business item today. The first is continuation of case Z17002 for South Gun Club RV storage specific development plan. The county attorney on this is Robert Hill, and our presenter this morning is Molly Orkild Larson. Mr. Hill, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please set the foundation for us?
Thank you. This matter was properly noticed for the last scheduled meeting at which it was continued to this date and time. It is a RV storage specific development plan. At the time the board took public, at the first hearing, the board took public comment on it, opened and closed the public hearing, and then the board continued it for purposes of hearing some information from Tri-County Health regarding the dump station. So at this point, the board has jurisdiction to proceed. It's been properly noticed to the last meeting date and continued to date certain to this date.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. Good morning, Ms. Orkild Larson.
Good morning. Molly Orkild Larson, Senior Planner with the Public Works Department. All I have to add this morning is that since the hearing on March 13th, there was 3 letters that were received by staff, 2 of which were included in your packets, and the third one I have put out in front of you. And that's all I have to say for now. I'm open for any questions. Otherwise, I can turn it over to Tri-County Health.
Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome.
If representative from Tri-County Health could come forward, please, and please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mike Weekly. I work for Tri-County Health Department, 6162 South Willow Drive. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board about RV dump stations or any other questions you have.
Could you give us an overview of just how these dump stations function, and maybe that will help remind us of the questions that we had from the last meeting?
So RV dump stations are what we call vault systems. They are covered under our Regulation 017, which covers on-site wastewater treatment systems. A typical dump station consists of a concrete pad, which the user will then dispose of the wastewater into a receptacle that goes into a holding tank. That holding tank is then pumped out periodically and disposed of at a wastewater treatment plant.
Are these connected? Do they have to be pumped out? In other words, they're not connected to any sewer system.
That's correct. So it's just a holding tank. It doesn't have what we call a soil treatment area afterwards, like a typical septic system. So it is just an enclosed system that is then pumped out periodically and sent to a larger facility in the area.
Question from Commissioner Conti.
Thank you. And I'm wondering, is there ever any oils, fuels, anything else that has to be drained out of these RVs that it also has to be put into some sort of holding tank?
Typically not. We only regulate the wastewater disposal. So this is technically considered a wastewater treatment system, although it's not really treating the wastewater. We would not want any other liquids to be disposed of in there, just because the treatment facility that it would end up at may not be able to accept that. So it typically just be wastewater disposal.
Any other questions or concerns from Commissioner Holden?
Now, this is a permitting process through the Tri-County Health?
Correct. So we would require a installation permit for this type of system. It would be designed by a design engineer, and we would permit and approve that system, yes.
A follow-on question. Once the holding tank is put into operation, does Tri-County periodically go out and check the quality of the area, the tank, any overflow issues that may result, or do you have to get a report to do that?
So we do not go out and inspect these systems. They are on what's called a renewable use permit. So every 2 years, we require that the owner of the system have the system inspected. That is just to ensure that the tank integrity is still sound, and also provide us pump receipts to make sure that they are pumping it on a frequent basis. The systems are also required to have an alarm at 75% of the capacity. So that just is an alarm that tells the owner when it should be pumped. So every 2 years, those are on renewable permits, yep.
And those inspections are the property owner does an inspection, or do they have to bring?
So we require that a certified inspector conduct those. So they are certified by the National Association of Wastewater Technicians. So they obtain a certification, and we have a list of those folks that are certified, and they have to go with one of those inspectors.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. This seemed to be one of our sticking points last time, so I want to be real clear with this. So have you gotten from facilities that are like this? I mean, there are lots of RV storage lots around. Have you had environmental impacts or issues or problems with those storage lots? And if so, can you tell us what they are and, how egregious they are, and what could happen? My imagination doesn't go in that direction very far.
To my knowledge, we have not received any complaints related to these types of facilities. We have a number of them in our 3-county jurisdiction. To my knowledge, we haven't received any complaints.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp.
Just a question on the size of the dump station. Is that something that you recommend, or the designer, based upon how large the storage facility is, how many vehicles are going to be there, that kind of thing? Is that then, and that's part of your approval?
Yes, it is. So our regulation requires a minimum 1,000 gallons or 48 hours of storage minimum. So it really depends on how often the operator wants to pump the system. If they wanted to, they could pump it every 48 hours, but generally, operator will size it significantly larger so they can go a longer period of time to pump the system. We require a minimum of 1,000 gallons.
Great, thank you.
Questions or concerns? Thank you very much. Next, does the applicant wish to address any of the information that we've received this morning, from Tri-County Health Department? Is there Not at this time. Okay. This is, again, a continuation of the public hearing. Yes.
Apologize. I'm trying to find it in here, the size of based on that information, the size of what the applicant is proposing in terms of that dump station. And if anybody...
Molly Orkild-Larsen, I believe we learned last time that it had been increased in size from what was originally proposed, but then there were some public comment from citizens still concerned with the size of that dump station.
Where that is. Does anybody know?
I'd have to look through my records. I don't know off the top of my head, so I'll search.
Anybody from the applicant side that would know? Sir, if you just state your name and address for the record, please.
John Olson, 3461 Ringsby Court, Denver. So previously we had discussed that the minimum, or what we had originally proposed, was a 2 foot by 2 foot by 6 inch dump basin, and we increased that to a 4 foot by 4 foot by 10 inch. I hope that answers your...
And what is the depth? Is the
10 inch?
10 inches depth.
I'm sorry. So how does that equate to what Tri-County Health said in terms of their 1,000 gallons or
of volume? So if it was 2 by 2, right? I'm just going to do some math on the fly here. It's not going to work out too well, I have a feeling. But 2 by 2 would be, 4 times 6 inches. So that'd be 2 cubic feet, correct? That sound good math-wise? Okay. 4 by 4, 16 by 10 inches, that's where it's going to get fuzzy. So 16 cubic feet, but not quite. Somewhere between 12 and 16 cubic feet-ish.
Okay.
Commissioner Conti.
Okay.
That's not the tank. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a difference between a basin and a tank.
There we go.
So is there both, or is there just singly one or the other?
That's the basin. So the minimum was 1,000, and this is 3,750.
Gallons. Or?
Yes.
Okay.
3,750.
Thank you. Clarity. Thank you.
Okay. Again, this is a continuation of a public hearing. We did have several people sign up on this issue. I'll just go over it and then I'll ask for any additional public comment. Public comment on this matter should, especially for those people that had an opportunity to speak on this at the initial hearing on March 13th, should address any of the new information. So I'm going to open up public comment. And the first person that was on the list to sign up is Janet Cook from UACED. Is written down for this item and did want to speak. Good morning, Ms. Cook.
I know name and address, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my name is Janet Cook. I'm an executive director of a newly formed economic development for unincorporated Arapahoe County.
And you do have 3 minutes. If you'll watch the lights up here, it'll go to yellow at 30
right
seconds.
There. Okay. Just like my car when I get too close to a vehicle. Okay.
Yes, you did give your address?
I did. Oh, no, I did not. Post Office Box 1009er at Strasburg, Colorado 80136. Thank you. Okay, so briefly my comments on this is in the letter of support that I provided the other day. One of the things is that when we look at growth with E470, like any major thoroughfare, we're going to have growth right along that, and that's what we're experiencing in many forms. So it's not simply all subdivisions along that. You get various forms of like grocery stores, Southland Mall, another subdivision. You actually presently do have another RV storage unit, I believe, to the west of E470 that's in place right now. So this project's not the first one. So it's actually been established, and I don't know exactly if it's Round Jewel, but it's not too far away from this proposed project. I really see this project as it blends in with the community. Right to the north, as you well know, they're going to have a proposed unit horizon development that's going to be over 3,800 units. Now there's going to be a lot of traffic, grocery stores. This project is perfect. I myself own an RV. When I lived in a subdivision, I had no place to put it because of covenants. This provides the resource for people. And as we all know, there's more people moving in, and it's great that the county could support such a project like this. And again, it's centrally located, so you don't have to go out to Kansas to find a place to park your RV. And it's more convenient that you can use it on weekends, or if you have a boat too. And I guess in closing, I would hope that you would support this project. This is really fulfilling the needs of our citizens. We need this. It's very highly demand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Also on the list to checking the box 4, I'm going to have a hard time reading this signature. Dave, and then kind of a squiggle. Right, and you did not want to speak. Okay. But you're for the project. Also signing up was Bonnie Rader, who is against the project and did not wish to speak. Richard Rader, who was against the project, did not wish to speak. Well, I think we heard from you both last time. Ellis Spencer is for this project, did not want to speak. Correct. Darla Greenwald is for this project, but did not want to speak. Thank you very much. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board on this matter? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment period. And any discussion, questions, or additional information from the commissioners? Seeing none, I would like to make a motion. In the case of Z17-002 South Gun Club RV Storage Specific Development Plan, the County Commissioners have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and the public comment as presented at the public hearings. I hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. The Tri-County Health Department's concerns shall be addressed at the time of the administrative site plan. 3. The applicant shall address all requirements specified by the Sable Altura Fire District at the time of the administrative site plan. 4. All landscaping on site shall be watered and maintained in a healthy condition. 5. The RV storage facility shall be restricted to right in and right out turning movements onto South Gun Club Road. Motion made by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. And Ms. Sanchez, would you call a roll vote for us, please?
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes. Approve.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp?
No.
Commissioner Conti?
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
The motion passes 4-1.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanchez. The next item on our agenda for this morning is also a public hearing. Strasburg Station Preliminary Development Plan Amendment. The county attorney on this is also Robert Hill. I should have introduced you last time, Senior Assistant County Attorney. And the presenter is Molly Orkild Larson, Senior Planner, Public Works and Development. Good morning again.
Good morning. I'm Molly Orkild Larson, Senior Planner with the Public Works Department. What's before you this morning is an amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot to ask Mr. Hill to set the foundation for us.
With the switch, but this application for a preliminary development plan amendment has been noticed by publication in the I-70 Scout and the Villager newspaper, by mailing of adjacent properties, and by posting the property as required under the Land Development Code. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Okay.
Now,
All right, I'll pick up where I left off. What's before you this morning is an amendment to a preliminary development plan that proposes a mix of residential and commercial retail and will consist of 160 multifamily units, 64 age-restricted townhomes, and approximately 25,000 square feet of commercial retail development. The 29-acre property is located approximately 1 mile west of the commercial center of the town of Strasburg at the southeast corner of East Colfax Avenue and North Piggott Road. The subject parcel is also located north and adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way. To determine the impacts of the noise on the site, the applicant did conduct a noise study. During the study, no trains passed the property. Therefore, standardized assumptions were used to predict the noise levels of passing trains. The noise levels range from 48 to 58 decibels. Staff did feel that another noise study should be conducted that would actually measure trains passing the property so that impacts could be determined. The applicant did submit another noise study. Unfortunately, that was after the staff report was submitted to the board. In summary, it was over a 4-day period from Thursday to Sunday in March. The days are in your report. 7 trains did pass the property, and the noise levels range from 60 to 65 decibels. As you're aware, the county does not have noise regulations and defaults to the Colorado Revised Statute 2512-103, which is the noise abatement statute. I did send out the current noise study to Tri-County Health and did get some input from them and did have some discussions with them. The noise levels that were discussed that would be appropriate as per the Colorado Revised Statute would be 50 to 55 for the residential zone. That Tri-County Health is here today, and then they can go into a little bit more detail on that. Noise can be abated through site design, and the next step for this project, if it is approved, would be specific development plan, which gets more into design considerations. Noise can be mitigated by how you place the buildings on the property. Also, putting berms or landscaping, sound walls, and also a lot can be done with building materials these days with double pane windows, with insulation, and the applicant is prepared to go into more detail. And actually, they did give this for me to give to you is acoustical construction that they will be going over with you today. I'd like to turn the presentation over to the applicant and have him give you a presentation on the project. Yes.
Commissioner Holman.
With reference to the noise study, did your staff review the train schedule along those tracks?
You know, unfortunately, I did contact Union Pacific along with the applicant. Because of 9/11, they will not give out that information. So it just depends on the day, the season, I think.
And that's mostly used for coal, isn't it, to Colorado Springs?
I've seen coal trains, but I don't know if it's specifically used entirely for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm going to turn it over to.
Questions for
sorry.
Larson?
Sharp. Sorry. Was there a vibration study done?
No, it was just a noise study.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to ask some questions about that because I know that's been an issue with some of the light rail tracks and residential areas, and that, close to the tracks or light rail. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. it's 150-foot right-of-way, and I did ask the applicant as part of the review process, they felt it would dissipate, but I'm going to have them go into more detail on that.
I'd like to understand how they know that, and
okay,
because I know there were really some significant issues on the Southwest Light Rail line close to residential areas. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will turn it over to the applicant now.
Thank you very much. Good morning. If you'll state your name and address for the record, adjust the microphone as necessary. Do you have a presentation, a PowerPoint or anything?
No, I did not.
Okay, great.
My name is Brad Pauls. I'm with Pauls Corporation. I reside at 100 Steel Street, Denver, Colorado, 80206.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm the applicant for Strasburg Station. We're proposing 160 apartments along with 64 age-restricted townhomes in the town of Strasburg. We also have a 25,000 square foot proposed retail center in the northwest corner of the property. I'd like to start out by talking about the Strasburg community and how this project is addressing current needs of the people that live in Strasburg. Strasburg is a small bedroom community just outside of Denver. I've been building homes out there for just about 20 years and been able to produce quality, affordable houses in 5 different communities that we built out there. And we've had a real nice business that we built up out there. We purchased this property close to 15 years ago and struggled with use for it. We tried to put a grocery store and retail center. We tried to bring the King Supers that ended up going to the town of Bennett. We tried to get them to come to Strasburg. With maximum effort, we could not get them to change their mind on their location in Bennett. And we sat on this property for the next decade. We've seen a rising need for age-restricted townhomes, addressing the need for families in the Strasburg area that live on the farm, have lived on the farm for generations, don't want to live out in the country anymore because obvious reasons, snow removal, weather, ability to get into town, medical needs. And we saw an immediate demand for age-restricted townhomes, maintenance-free living, and these folks could purchase a house in Strasburg, the community that they like to live in, and have a maintenance-free home and still be close to their family. That brings us to the need for apartments. There's an immediate need right now for young families or younger folks that would want to be close to their parents who are getting up in age, and they would be the targeted demographic for future renters in the apartments. By nature, the Strasburg community lends itself to an affordable price range. When we started building houses out there, we were selling bigger houses for less money, and we've been doing that for quite some time. These apartments and townhomes are not going to be any different. We have never been able to achieve a Denver metro area price range because of the location. But the location is actually better than some areas that would be a comparable product in, say, Green Valley Ranch or the eastern part of Aurora, where communities are not as quiet. They're not quite as safe. There's a lot of downside to living closer to the metro area. That Strasburg is a wonderful solution for these folks to move to. We've witnessed this for years and years. The community has they just built a new junior high school, and the high school and the elementary school are the community is very proud of their schools out there, and folks moving out there enjoy the fact that their kids can walk to school, or it's just a short ride over to school for after-school programs or weekend programs, and that's always been a gigantic selling point for us. The retail, there's an absolute immediate need for additional retail in Strasburg. The closest example I can use is the restaurant called Corona's, which is on the west side of Strasburg. They're full all the time. We sold every member of the family a house. They've been out there. They built up a very successful restaurant out there, and they're out of space. They can't expand. And they've called me countless times of when we can start this project at Strasburg Station and build them a new restaurant. There's other needs that would fit into that 25,000 square feet, such as an urgent care center, simple things such as a dry cleaner, these things that don't exist in Strasburg today. The three components in Strasburg Station address all these current and immediate needs of the area. We've had quite a bit of support from neighbors, and we've heard some opposition. The biggest part of the opposition has been the potential for sound. I stand out on the site. I don't see the sound as a problem whatsoever. It's actually quite peaceful. The songbirds are louder than the traffic on the highway. So we commissioned a sound study to be done by a professional engineer to find out exactly what the sound generation is from the trains and from the interstate. That's in the report that was given to you a few days ago. Since then, as of this morning, we found out that Tri-County Health would prefer to see a noise generation not in the 65 decibel level, but in the 55 decibel level. Our sound study shows 65, obviously higher than the 55. Through required building practices today to meet the energy code, we would be we'd be very close to the range that is required for the interior dB levels of the home. I brought our sound engineer, Andrew, from Wave Engineering, and I'd like him to be able to speak about this further when I'm done, if that's possible.
Or later.
Pardon me?
Do you want him to come forward now or later?
If I could just finish up and then let Andrew speak, that would be fantastic. If there's any questions in regards to the application itself, as far as roadways, civil engineering, Eric Gunderson from Kimley Horn is also with me, and the application itself, Todd Messenger from Fairfield and Woods is also here with me. Does the board have any questions for me?
Questions for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Sharp.
Just wanted to, so the townhomes, which are the age restricted, they'll be for sale, and the others are apartments. Is that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
The apartments are for rent, and the townhomes are for sale.
For sale. Okay. And are we going to see kind of your site plan on how that might lay out with the townhomes and the apartments and where they might be?
I apologize. I thought the site plan would have been in the packet.
Maybe it's in here, and I just.
Are you talking about this
I was looking for something more specific than that, but
More architectural.
In the meantime, I had a question about the age restriction. What is the age restriction going to be?
55 and over.
55 and older.
yeah, I was just looking for something. I know we've got in here the the site, but with respect to how on the site would be, have you thought yet about where the townhomes would be versus the apartments, and which would be kind of on the north or the south? Have you done any of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're quite a long ways on that.
Okay.
Could you explain a little bit about when that is required in the process? Come forward and just let us know, because I believe this is a preliminary development plan.
It's a preliminary development. So what's in the packet is more of a bubble.
Right.
It shows access and basically the grouping. Housing will be here. Retail is going to be along Colfax, Piggott. We did do a pre-submittal meeting with the SDP for the specific development plan, and I believe there was a more detailed drawing of that, and I can see if we can pull that up for you.
I'm just curious because of the relationship to the railroad tracks, and in terms of ownership, a little bit different than people renting, and so just curious to know how that was going to lay out.
Right, and I also want to make you aware, if you do approve this PDP, it sets the zoning, and for the under our PUD development in the code now, the SDP would only be reviewed by the Planning Commission, so you would not see that again. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. So we can pull that up so you can have a look.
Okay. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Sharp.
So in terms of the walls and the windows and fences and that sound attenuation, is the person you're working with, Mr. Paul, is going to be able to talk about those, what you're planning on, in terms of those
Sound mitigation
materials and
yes.
Kind of.
Would you like him to speak right now?
That'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
And if you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Coalition. I'm an acoustic consultant with Wave Engineering. That is here in Littleton, Colorado. I reside at 2711 Welton Street, Unit 206, Denver, Colorado 80205.
Morning.
Morning. As contracted by the Pauls Company, we performed a noise study at the Strasburg Station site from March 14th to the 19th, encompassing the full days of the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th for those 24-hour periods, to measure and determine the DNL for those days. The DNL is the average day-night level for those 24-hour periods. The average levels varied from 60 to 65 DNL. We were able to determine 7 trains did pass by the site during the measurement period. That's a minimum, I would say. The way we were able to determine that was through recordings that our equipment takes. And through listening, we could determine there were 7 pass-bys. There may have been more, but with some of the I-70 noise, there were some that were difficult to determine. The average DNL for those 4 days was 63, which is compliant with the 65 DNL acceptable criteria set by the Housing and Urban Development HUD guidebook.
Commissioner Conti?
Did you happen to notice what time those trains went by?
I did. I did not note it in the report, but I do know the precise times they went by.
Can you share that with us?
Not at this. I can, not at this time.
Okay.
I don't have that information with me.
Daytime, nighttime?
They were mostly at night. There were a couple during the day.
Okay.
Commissioner Sharp, did you have a question? Okay. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I left my technology here, so I just quickly looked up how loud is 65 decibels because even though people have told me that before, I don't know. So it says, according to this particular website, industrialnoisecontrol.com, that 60 decibels is like conversation in a restaurant, office, background music, air conditioning at 100 feet. So my question is, how far away, when you took these noise measurements, were you at the back of the property measuring it? Were you at the front of the property measuring it? Where were you with respect to the tracks? And yeah, so I would understand that whoever was living or in the restaurant or whatever would also have the shielding or the buffer of the wall at least. But still, I'm just wondering, from where did you take those measurements?
The measurements, and we have the GPS coordinates in our report. We tried to do a worst case example and measured on the site closest to the tracks while still being within the property perimeter. I think it was, I want to say 200 feet from the tracks. I know we had what we measured when we were there. I would need to check my notes to verify that.
But it was in the property yet closest to it was in the property closest to the track.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Mr. Coalition? Okay, Mr. Pauls, other members of your team?
Sorry.
Commissioner Sharp.
Address the concerns about vibration.
I cannot.
You know what, you did sound, but was there who could address vibration?
We did not perform any vibration analysis while we were on site.
Okay.
I wanted to add, I think someone had a question regarding the construction materials. HUD does have an indoor criteria of 45 DNL. Typical exterior construction provides 25 to 35 dBA of attenuation, subtracting that from the 65 or 63 average that we measured. On the higher side, we'd be at 35, which interior, which would be well below the 45 DNL that they established.
And you all, if I could follow up, so in terms of double pane, windows, I know in this report, which I thought was really helpful, there were a number of things like increasing the width of the airspace or putting two fences or walls close together, and certainly the material makes a difference. So you'll be looking at all of that, is that correct, to try to bring down that noise when you do your next submittal?
Correct. The materials from the exterior to the interior, the stud spacing, the stud depth, that air cavity you're discussing, whether it's single or dual cavity, and then the glazing is also
this was very helpful.
Evaluated.
This was really interesting, and I've had some experience with noise walls and in the city where I live, and so there are lots of concerns, and but I hadn't read about the spacing of them, so that was really interesting. So thank you very much. And you'll be looking at, in terms of materials, the double pane or something similar. I think there were a couple of alternatives here that might work just as well to double panes.
Correct. Whatever they design, we will evaluate.
Okay. And I do know that we're talking a lot about the train, but I-70 noise, I-25 noise, when you're by any highway, you're going to get a certain level of, which probably exceeds the 65 decibel level, just being by a highway, and we certainly have a lot of residential areas that are by our highways. So
Correct. And this was actually, even with its proximity to I-70, was below the 65
right,
traffic noise.
that's good. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
So, do we want to go to Jason Reynolds from our office with the, do you have a better site plan, or do you want to? I knew it was your computer. Okay.
So
Molly?
Molly Orkild Larson. So this is what was discussed at our pre-submittal meeting, I believe it was last month, of the design that they're looking at this point for the specific development plan, which, if approved today, would move on to this project. And I can have the applicant, if they wish, to
Yeah, I think we have some.
come up and discuss the plan, where the 64 age housing is in the apartments.
Yes, Mr. Paul.
Pacific. Is that okay? Okay, yeah. Okay, so it looks like the patio homes are going to be closer.
The retail is in this area right here, 25,000 square feet, in the northwest corner of the property. Strasburg is a quarter mile to the east, and this is Highway 36. These are the railroad tracks that pass by, and this would be approximately where I-70 is. This is 160 apartments right here. They are, Eric, I'm sorry, are they two-story or? Two-story. Two-story apartments, and then these are the 64 townhomes right here. The main entrance is going to be off of Highway 36 right here with a full movement intersection and a secondary entrance for the apartments over in this area right here. We have done traffic studies for the area because we have other projects underway in Arapahoe, in Adams County, Blackstone Ranch and Wolf Creek Run. We did a comprehensive traffic impact study for the center of Strasburg, which shows stop signs widening the main highway in Strasburg with full movement intersection, along with adding one additional turn lane as you come off the interstate into Strasburg. So that has also been contemplated in this project.
Questions? Commissioner Conti.
Yeah, maybe it's more of a comment. I guess I thought you were going to tell me the other way. I thought you were going to tell me the townhomes were going to be further to the east and the apartments closer to.
Where we performed the noise study was right in this corner right here.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Jackson.
I'm sorry, my eyes are evil. What's to the right? What is that?
Right here? Yeah. That's the detention pond. There's a natural water flow that crosses the highway right here. So we will detain the water right here and then slowly release it into the tributary.
Okay, and again, just to reorient me, was it
36.
470 is at the bottom of our.
I-70, yes. I-70 is down over here.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp.
So across the south side of the property, are those all apartments that are all across the south side? And then to the west, the townhomes are to the north of that?
Yes, these are 4 townhome buildings,
Oh, okay.
each with 4 units in it.
Okay.
And then these are apartments.
Okay. They look, sorry, I can't see well enough. They look the same from here, so.
We have actually pulled the buildings back a little further from the right of way.
Okay.
Questions? Was there somebody else from your team that you wanted to address us? Or just if there are questions?
If there's any questions from the board regarding civil engineering or the application itself, Eric Gunderson can answer any civil questions, and Todd Messenger can answer any legal-based questions.
I just still have the question on the vibration.
On the vibration, we'd be more than happy to find the testing equipment and have it performed by
That'd be great. Yeah.
In regards to that, my own 2 cents, which I know I'm not a qualified engineer. However, what is between the railroad tracks and the residence is all farm ground. It's not concrete. In other words, it most likely is not going to vibrate the same as a roadway, a sidewalk.
Okay, so the ground itself will absorb a lot of that vibration.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to putting everybody here at ease and performing a vibration study.
I just think that probably
No, if you're seeing arguments against that in other areas, I'm happy to
and you might just look at the Southwest light rail line, because RTD did have to come, and I don't know the distance and if it was concrete. I don't know the specifics, but I do know that one of our commissioners got a lot of complaints about that over the years, and I'm sure we could probably provide some information, or that could be examined. It was before my time here, because that light rail line's been in a while. But
if that could be part of the not a part of this application, but however the next application, we would appreciate that.
And that's fine with me. I just think it's probably something to take a look at to be sure that you don't get those kind of complaints or concerns, as well.
We're happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions at this time?
Okay, so
Commissioner Conti, microphone, please.
Yeah. So there's, right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm only seeing one entrance in.
There's two.
There's two. So I see the one up.
There's one.
Right. Where's the other one?
And the other one is right here. Well, 3 if you count this entrance.
Oh, there. I see. Okay, so now I see 2. Where's the third one?
So traffic flows this way, goes into the townhomes right here.
So you can't turn in from there.
It goes into the townhomes and the retail here, and then traffic can flow into the apartments right here.
Okay. And all of those are going to be two-way?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Pauls.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to open up public comment period. I only had one individual sign up to speak in favor of this project, Janet Cook. Come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Do that right this time. Janet Cook, Executive Director of the Unincorporated Arapahoe County Economic Development. Post Office Box 1009, Strasburg, Colorado 80136. Looking at this project, we are excited. It's something that is well needed. I'm excited about the commercial space in addition to the actual apartments. I have a granddaughter that moved out and moved back in. This will be great because then she can move back out because there will be enough apartments. The other thing for commercial space, we are in dire need of an urgent care. We don't have that. We have to drive like 30 miles plus, depending on which route you go, if you go to North Aurora, if you go through Southlands. The other thing is that this position, where this is, it's conveniently located that to the northeast of that is Peak Vista, which is a medical facility only open like Monday through Friday. to the west of that is perfect because there's storage units. So when you have people moving in, especially from the ranch, maybe they don't want to get rid of the stove, they could store it there. It also provides opportunities for jobs. We have a lot of teenagers and people that don't want to move from the area, and that retail alone, hope we get a Panera Bread. I like that. But something like that will at least, instead of having to move into Aurora and having those amenities. So this is perfect. And what's exciting, it's in our county. We get county revenue from that. So I don't know how much more to say. I live like several miles to the west of this location, very familiar with Strasburg. My grandkids go to Strasburg schools. And I'm just excited for when this will break ground and we can start moving on with all the development we need. And certainly everybody's starting to move out east, as you well know. And it's just going to keep further moving east, and we're going to need more opportunities like this for commercial retail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook. There was no other sign up. Anybody else signed up for this? But is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the Board of County Commissioners on this issue? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I did have a conversation with Mr. Hill about possibly adding a vibration study to this motion. We heard from the applicant that that may be something to consider for the subsequent application. So we're just advising or directing staff to be on the lookout for that and make sure that that is included. Is there any other questions or discussion among county commissioners? If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion. In the case of Z17-001, Strasburg Station Preliminary Development Plan Amendment, the county commissioners have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and the public comment as presented at the public hearing. I hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. The applicant shall identify and implement noise mitigation measures in a future application for the specific development plan. In order to establish what noise mitigation measures to use, the applicant shall conduct a noise study that measures the decibels of one or more passing trains on the adjacent rail line as part of the specific development plan application. 3. A fence or wall with a minimum height of 8 feet with no trespassing signs shall be installed to prevent trespassing onto the Union Pacific Railroad property. 4. A note shall be added to the preliminary development plan amendment and future specific development plan, alerting future residents of the development that there will be noise and vibrations from passing trains, and the train volume may increase in the future. 5. The applicant shall comply with CDOT's comments, Colorado Department of Transportation comments. 6. Cash in lieu of public land dedication shall be calculated based on fair market value rather than assumed value. Commissioner Holden.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker and seconded by Commissioner Holden. Is there any other discussion or concerns? All in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. Thank you very much for your presentation today. Are there any commissioner comments? Commissioner Holden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had the opportunity last week to attend a national conference on the prescription drug abuse and heroin problem in this United States. Over 3,000 participants were involved, including law enforcement, several U.S. senators, congressmen, as well as as well as former President Clinton, who has been an advocate of this issue. It was a very productive event. There were almost over 60 different conference opportunities throughout the 3 days. I made effort to go to as many as I can that were relevant to the county. This program has been in effect for the last 7 years. The first conference only drew 700 people, so clearly there's a commitment from across the nation to develop programs and strategies to begin to reduce the deaths that are resulting from overdoses of prescription drugs such as OxyContin and oxycodone, as well as to address the issue of fentanyl deaths and heroin. So we in this county have done a good job in coordinating with various entities to begin to address this problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Any other comments? Seeing none, our meeting is adjourned.